Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast. We're back again with another betting show. I'm joined by Adam and Sky, as always. It's that time of year again. We're drawing in closer and closer to the start of the season. Pre-season's already started. We've already kicked off with the Tuesday chat show. Sky, you were on that. That was good fun for you. You've already got a bit of division knowledge. I know you were talking about the divisions on that. But today we're going to be talking about the betting odds for the two AFC and NFC East teams, just two of them. There you go, blooper already. We're going to go through the AFC East and the NFC East, and we're going to be talking about what odds they're going to have in their divisions, wins, and things like that. So hopefully we can get you some wins on the board. I think we're going to start a tally this year and see which one of the three of us wins the most money. So we'll keep you up to date on that. Adam feels like he's the hot favourite.
Definitely he is.
I don't feel like I'm the hot favourite. I know I'm the hot favourite. I mean, what are you talking about?
I mean, Sky only needs to win one bet and they'll probably come out as winner of total money because he's probably
banking on that.
Yeah. Adam, welcome back. I know this is your first show back. Obviously, Sky's been on there. How are you feeling about the build up to the season? You getting excited yet? Have you seen any of the preseason?
No, and no.
Okay, is that because you're a Packers fan? Not excited this year.
I haven't seen any of the preseason. No, not yet. Hard Knocks is tonight in the UK, so I will watch that. So that will start, a little bit of excitement to watch my ex-quarterback actually seeming quite pleasant around camp and just generally enjoying himself, which is nice, as he never seemed to want to do it with us at the Packers. So there you go. That'll be fun. But yeah, I haven't seen any yet. No.
You say enjoying himself. Not only that, he's helping the youngsters. He's coaching the backup. He's he's a changed man. You briefly mentioned there that Hard Knocks is starting. We've been a plethora of NFL TV on Netflix and things like that at the moment. Sky, I know you've talked about the preseason game. You saw all that, but have you seen any of Untold that's been out about Johnny Manziel? I know you've seen the quarterback one.
I've only seen clips. I know they're doing the rounds and everyone's talking about the Florida Gators documentary coming up, but I need to get around to Johnny football once I finally finish quarterback. When Marcus Mariota, as much as I like, has put me to sleep a bit, but Kirk Cousins carrying the show. So yeah.
Yeah, he's brilliant. There's a lot of a couple of people have gone like, oh, we're a bit unsure about Kirk Cousins has come out great on that, hasn't he?
Oh yeah.
So he's cemented another contract, I reckon, just based off of him being on that. Right, let's crack in on the betting. Let's start with the AFC East. As always, we'll have the odds up on screen for you so we can go through them. Adam, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, so I actually think that this year, this is probably the biggest price that you would have been able to get the Bills in quite a long time. They're 5-4. It's not a massive price, obviously, but it is probably the biggest price for a few years. The reason behind that is obviously the Jets acquiring Aaron Rodgers, as we've said. I mean, that's why that price has gone up. They've actually got themselves a quarterback that you sort of feel like can do the job. The Dolphins are no bad team either. When you sort of look at what you've got there, if Tua can stay fit, he's got all the weapons around him. And then you've got the other team. So I mean, I personally think, as great as Rodgers has been in the past, and you have to feel it's going to be a lot better for the Jets with him there, I just don't see them suddenly winning all of these games that mean that you're going to be overtaking the Bills. They're both playing the AFC West and the NFC East, which are both tough divisions to be going up against. So I think it's going to be a tough slog for the Jets this year, especially, I think, is it the first 6 games? I think before their bye, they've come out and said they've got a really tough schedule in first 6 games. So I think that the Bills, although they've got to play all the same, the AFC West and the NFC East as well, I just feel like this is the time that if you're going to go for the Bills, this year is the year to do it because the price is just that bit better.
Yeah, some night odds on that. Usually they're the other way around. You usually not getting plus money off of your bet, are you? Sky, do you agree with this bet? Obviously, your team are in this division, so you're quite close to following this and seeing it every year. A lot of people are saying that there could be 3 teams in this division that could win it, and your Patriots that are missing out. Do you feel that's the case, or do you feel like the Bills are the strong contenders for this one and lock them in at number 1?
I agree with Adam that the Bills are number 1. I'm probably not as sold on the Dolphins as a lot of people are. I think it's between the Bills and the Jets. I think the Bills are the favourite simply because they've managed to jazz up the offense a bit by getting Kincaid, and obviously we know James Cook's going to be the lead back most likely now, and I think that's going to add some freshness to that offense, which the Super Bowl window is closing for them, right? And I think the pressure is sort of on. But in the last few years, 3 years they've had 2 13-3 seasons. They're definitely the favourites. When we were touching upon the schedules that Adam mentioned, I had a look at the Jets, and I think as much as they got that tough start, from game week 12 onwards, they played Falcons, Texans, Commanders, and Browns. So they can be in a decent spot going into week 12 when you've got those last, say, 5 to 6 games. I think they're definitely they're in a good position to get to double-digit wins and be the closest team to push Buffalo. I just think the question marks around Miami are more towards the health of Tua. Obviously, none of us want to see him get hurt again, but we saw what happened to them last year when he did get hurt. And I would say, whereas the Jets and Bills have made additions, I don't think people will talk about Miami as much because they haven't really made as much noise in the offseason. No, it's obviously not about winning in the offseason, but yeah, I'm between Buffalo and Jets with the Bills getting the edge just based on the last few years.
Now, we talk about strength of schedule a lot, and I'm guessing you guys are going to be factoring that in when you're talking about the betting odds. I've had a little look at it. Apparently, the Patriots have got the hardest schedule out of everybody this season. Then the Dolphins have the 30th, the Bills 29th, and the Jets the 26th. So the Jets have got the upper hand on the strength of schedule. Adam, do you think that's going to play a big factor, and do you think they can defy the odds and get that 9-4 victory at all, or just stick with the Bills?
I think if the Jets can get through the first 6 games at 3-3, I think they've probably got themselves a pretty good chance of winning it. But that it is tough. I mean, that is a tough, schedule. Them first 6 games. I can't remember exactly who they've got, but I know they've got the Chiefs and the Eagles. And of course, they've got to play the Bills, haven't they? Is it the first game? I think is against the Bills.
Week 1.
So you've got 3 teams there that are going to be very difficult to beat. So I think it's going to be very tough. If they go 3-3, the other 3 are slightly easier. So you would think that they would have a chance in them ones. But I just think although the Bills' window it is closing, it is reaching that point where there's not as much time left for them. It just feels like they're still the strong team when it comes to the division. When it comes to afterwards, I think it's a different matter in the playoffs for them, as we've seen before. But I think, I personally would probably stick with the Bills just because I think they're just that little bit better at the moment.
Yeah, I've stuck with the Bills. I think I've had a couple of accumulators of winners of people from the divisions, and I've been locking the Bills in myself for that one. I think it's a safe one, and as you said, getting them at that odds is going to be the only time you're really going to get it with them actually having a good shot. Sky, where would you like to go with the odds for the AFC East?
In terms of, there's no point me talking about my Patriots. The 7-1, I think, is rightly priced. I think that, but of the case, so if you're looking at that 9-4 for the Jets, I just want to touch upon again on the schedule, because I think after Buffalo's bye week at the end of the year, they have a really tough stretch. And as much as we're all saying the Bills, I think if you're saying an Aaron Rodgers led team was 9-4, and there was a division where you're having a coin toss, you could realistically throw them in there. But again, as you guys have mentioned, to have the Bills sort of at 5-4 and not be, say, a 1-2 or anything lower is a really good price. And I think you'd be smart to include them in your accumulator for, especially if you're going for 8 teams. Probably the safe bet is to go with someone like Buffalo, where they've had that recent success.
Now, obviously, we banged on the Patriots a little bit there. They are 20 to 23 to finish fourth, but they are 11 to 4 to finish third. Do you reckon they could pip the Dolphins? I'd say never write the Patriots off. I think when you write them off, that's probably when they're dangerous. So
I'm glad you said that.
A third spot at 11 to 4, there could be some money there for them, but yeah, it's going to be tough for them. Very, very strong division. Adam, where are we going next? What's the odds?
I think if we go on to the team wins, I think is probably the most logical place to go. I mean, if you look at it at the moment, the Bills, if they're the over under is at 10.5. If you feel like they're going to win the division, and it feels like it, they would, there's a reason they're favourites to do it. I feel like 10.5 is very gettable for them to finish the season on 11 wins. I mean, it is 33 to 50. It's not particularly great odds, I must say, but you're not going to get amazing odds for these sort of bets. But yeah, I do like the Bills to go over. One thing I wanted to ask Sky about is obviously with the Patriots schedule being as difficult as it is. I mean, the over under is 7.5. Do we feel that there's any chance that they could hit 8?
I had a look at the Patriots where I would predict them, and I had it probably at around 7 and 10, which probably doesn't help the question. Because, if it's
it does, because it means it's under.
No, but I mean, I feel like in terms of what Andrew touched upon with it being a Bill Belichick team, I think there's going to be plenty of games where it's 1-score games, right? I know there's question marks on the offense, but I think as much as people are writing the Patriots off, I don't think it's going to be a season where getting blown out week in, week out. So I think that 6-5 price is quite good. I mean, Patriots last year managed to get above 7 wins. With the way the defense is, with the likes of Uche, Judon, and that secondary, I think there's enough games where they can make noise, especially in those divisional games. I mean, I think no matter how good Buffalo have been in recent years, the Patriots have always given them a good game. Belichick will have a game plan for Aaron Rodgers. Usually, yeah. So I think there's a chance. I wouldn't recommend going for it, but I think for it to be 6-5 is not a bad price at all, considering now it's a 17-game season too.
Adam, what are you going for? What's your thoughts with the Patriots?
With New England, I just, it's really difficult. You look at the schedule and it's not particularly pretty, as we've said. I mean, playing the AFC West and the NFC East teams, it does feel like the Commanders are a team that you could come out and go are a team they should be beating, to be honest. I feel like the Patriots should do okay there. But the AFC West is so stacked. I mean, obviously the Raiders are there, so that's a win. But it feels very difficult to find the right, for them to get to 8 this year, which I suppose it's not surprising, but it's just something that obviously we're not quite used to because of how good they've been in the past. So I think that will be really difficult for them. When it comes to the others, I don't really feel like there's a massive one here. Like I say, if you feel that the Jets, the over under is 9.5, 10 wins. I feel like if they can go 3-3, they can do that. Yeah. And I think there's probably a good chance that they could go 3-3 in them first 6 games. And I think, so I do quite like the over there at 4-5. I think that's got a good chance of happening. And then the Dolphins are a difficult one.
Before you move on to the Dolphins, Adam, I'm just looking at those odds at 4-5 and evens. I'm probably leaving that alone completely. I'm probably not even bothering considering taking a bet on that. I think they're too close, and the odds aren't great enough on one side for me to. I mean, you're gonna have to put a lot of money on it to get anything back off of that. We're not.
Yeah, but I just think that the problem is when you start looking at match wins and for the season and things like that, these are the sort of odds that you get. I mean, it's like the best you're going to get are things like 6-5s and stuff like that. So
that's fine. It's coming out in your favour. I just think at 9.5 games is a real close. It's that 10 marks probably what you're looking at. That's too close on either side of the games for the odds that you're getting. I think for me.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It is going to be tough for it to work out for him, but I just think that's one that's definitely something that you could look at. And then again at the Dolphins, it's kind of a similar thing that you're saying. It's like it's 9-10 either side. There is no, there's no where it's sort of you're going to get over even money for it. But I think the Jets and Dolphins are going to be very tightly matched this year.
Yeah, Sky, how do you feel about the odds for those two teams? Are they something you'd be looking at, or they're not high enough odds? Where do you place with that?
I think if the Jets were 5-4 instead of 4-5, I'd be tempted with that, considering they were 7-10 last year and are getting Hall back at running back and Rodgers at quarterback. I think you would think, oh yeah, they can get a couple more wins and get over that 9.5. But like you said, I think the kind of puts you off when it's 4-5. You'd have to put quite a bit of big money on and you'd probably have to be the diehard Jets fan to feel confident in that one. With the Dolphins, I quite like that underpriced, but maybe that's because of me saying I'm not being sold on it. Like Adam was saying, you're going to get these close odds, but I think Miami, again, we don't want to talk about injuries, but if Tua got hurt early on and they had those quarterback questions again, would anyone put them getting 9 wins if they had, another backup at quarterback, regardless of having the likes of Waddle and Tyreek Hill? I think if you put that on preseason and there were some injuries, you'd probably be laughing, thinking, I've ended up sort of getting ahead of the curve here. So I'd be quite tempted by the under 9.5, but I wouldn't encourage anyone to bet on the Dolphins getting 10 wins or more. And that's not me being a biased Patriots fan, because I talked the Jets up.
I'm still not overly confident of the Dolphins' run game yet either, despite the fact we've got a committee back of lots of very talented running backs.
It's like a Madden roster.
I'm not sold that they can get that going behind what I would say is a serviceable quarterback. He's going to do the job and do it well, and he's a smart guy, but he's not going to go out there and win you games on his talent. I think he's just a good, accurate quarterback, and that's it. So yeah, I've got question marks with the Dolphins, so I'm leaving those ones alone as well. Anybody got any more AFC East bets, or should we move on to the NFC?
I think that the only final thing is division top 2. I think that's the one bet that you can do where you can get yourself slightly bigger odds for things. So I think when you look at it, personally myself, I like the look of the Bills Dolphins at 2-1. I think I know it's very much, the same as last year and all that, but I just think that you've got two teams that are going to be better. And with the Bills Jets being 6-4, I'd rather go for the price at 2-1. I think you're considering that they've got the Dolphins and the Jets matched up at over under of 9.5. It just kind of feels like the 2-1, you've got that little bit more that you can gain from it. So I quite like the look of Bills Dolphins for top 2.
I think I'd probably go Bills Jets at 6-4. I think there's money to be had in that. I think that's the sensible money for me. Sky.
Yeah, I had a look at that earlier, and it was funny that Adam said he'd rather go with the Dolphins one, because I thought you'd be throwing your money away. But who am I to tell Adam when he's the favourite for the bets for the year?
Yeah, I mean he's had the most time to sit and think about this than all of us. So he's probably got every stat, every schedule, every little matchup. So there's probably some thought gone behind that. So I probably shouldn't go against him.
What are the Jets Bills odds the other way around? Because obviously Jets haven't won the division since 2002.
It's just division top 2, so it can be either way.
So it is either way. Okay. Well, if there was a market where you could choose, it would be interesting if they had them. They had to place in that order. because I bet you the Jets Bills order would be interesting.
Me and Adam looked at it earlier. You just can't have them together. You can only have them singularly. So I'm guessing you're going to other sites to request.
So when I looked earlier, I still didn't make sense of it when I thought it was a good price. But for that to be either way, I think that sells it even more, because I know Adam has already touched upon any question marks with the Dolphins, but me and you have, Andrew. I think if people are sold on Bills Jets and you're getting that price, I think that's really good, because if you looked at most previews, or the ones I've looked at, they're all going for those two in the top two. I think Dolphins are still quite a speculative pick. Not that they won't have a good season, but yeah, I like that price.
Right, let's move on to the NFC East. Wow, some might say it's the most exciting division now. It's got all the big names in it now, hasn't it? What was a laughing stock only 2 years ago now has Super Bowl contenders in there and up-and-coming teams. So, Adam, kick us off. What are you saying about this division?
Well, I think it's only the one Super Bowl contender, isn't it? Really, let's face it, and it won't be your one. So, the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, Dad, you stay quiet for a little bit. The Philadelphia Eagles are currently 5-6 to win the division. Dallas Cowboys 9-5. New York Giants 6-1, and then finally the Washington Commanders are 10-1. I think the Eagles will win this, I have to say. I think they're just that bit better than what the rest of the teams are. I also think that they haven't really changed much, to be honest. They've kept it pretty steady. There's been a few that have come out and a few that have come in. But in reality, they look pretty good and they look pretty solid. They've got a slightly tougher schedule than what they had last year, this season.
Yeah.
But even still, I don't think it's going to make much difference. Jalen Hurts can still hide behind that O-line and get across for the touchdowns, and that's it, isn't it, really? So I think they're a very good team, and they're going to probably be a Super Bowl contender again.
They've got to be in that conversation, haven't they? For me, they've only strengthened their team from last year. Obviously, they've always been concerned that they have a couple of aging players, but I feel like every year, and I'm saying how they've won the off season and they've won the draft, and just can't believe the names that they're getting in there. It's just being ran so well as an organisation at the minute, which is hard to say. Maybe their fans will cheer up a little bit and they'll be a bit more positive rather than the negative they usually are. Sky, do you agree with this? Do you think it's just Eagles, Eagles, Eagles?
I'm here to fly the flag and play devil's advocate, but not for the Giants. Sorry, Andrew. I mean, you've had different division winners in this division the last 3 years. So if the Giants did it, you'd have. I don't know if that's ever happened or
it's 3 years, isn't it? Isn't it like 50
years, isn't it?
Because you had
the Eagles were the last to do it in like 1997, 99, something like that. I don't know.
What, the back-to-back? Yeah. It's been. You've had Eagles, Cowboys, and then Washington. So I mean, I know you guys are due a division title, but I wouldn't bank on it this year. So even I think 6-1 is not even high enough to be a tempter. But I was gonna fly the flag for the Cowboys, because I think that they only finished 2 games behind the Eagles last year. They both finished with the same divisional record, 4-2. They've added Brandon Cooks, new offensive coordinator, who seems to be building up some good rapport with Mike McCarthy. I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to win it. I just think that 9-5 is a good price, considering, yes, I know everyone was on the Eagles bandwagon last year and they made the Super Bowl. And people will say, oh, well, the Cowboys choking the playoffs. But this is not about the playoffs. This is about the regular season. And if they only finish 2 games behind, I think that's not a bad price at all, considering what we've seen in other division bets. So maybe the Cowboys. I'm sure Gareth is there laughing, and there's many people watch this who will laugh, but you never know.
Well, we knocked me and didn't let me speak towards the start when I was talking about it. But it was the Cowboys that I was on about. Like, I mean, before getting all the research before the season starts, the way we played last year, getting a playoff win and everything. I thought, you know what, I think we could maybe qualify for the playoffs again, and maybe that's what we'll be looking at. I'm looking at no more. But the more and more I hear about the pros talk about the Cowboys, I'm like, oh, the Cowboys are going to be good, aren't they? Like I was a little bit out on them, but the more and more and more people just keep talking about them, I'm like, they're talking about them in the conversation where they could win a Super Bowl. I'm like, what? this is no.
I agree. I just didn't want to, even when we spoke about playoffs last year, I spoke about them, and I know they did get laughed at. I think they've got better. I think they've gone out and I know Kellen Moore is a great offensive coordinator, but they were really focused on just sort of airing it out. I think getting this Schottenheimer, the OC, has had good success elsewhere with the Jets and Seahawks with run games. I think they're going to, use Tony Pollard a lot. And then when they do need to air it out, I think Prescott's capable of that with the weapons they have with Lamb and now Brandon Cooks. So, yeah, I think the Cowboys have got a good chance. And
well, I'm never going to agree with you. I'm just going to be out on them. And Dak Prescott has been throwing loads of interceptions in practice. So maybe he's going to repeat what he did last year and just be an interception machine. Adam, you're looking very confused and very baffled this conversation.
Yeah, I'm completely the opposite. I think they are screwed completely. I don't understand what they're doing at all. The theory of bringing in Schottenheimer is that we're going to run the ball more, and that means that we're going to sort of defend more as well, kind of thing. Like basically the offense was too efficient, I believe was the argument. And now the idea is that we're going to run the ball, but we've got Tony Pollard, who's currently still injured and isn't 100%. And where's the big body running back to do this running game? Like, who's going to do it? Because even Pollard's not a big bodied running back. Like, where's Zeke? He's not there. So who's doing this? And so how's that going to work? And Dak's just throwing interceptions everywhere, apparently. I know it's preseason and all that, but like I'm completely the opposite way with them. I don't get these odds at all. I'm really surprised that they are as short as they are. I can only assume it's partly because of the reputation of it being the Cowboys, and partly because they've done well in previous seasons. But no, I mean it's just not. It's just not there. I think they're a great defense. I've been the one who's always come out and said how good Dan Quinn is as a defensive coordinator. But I'm not quite sure that this is going to work with McCarthy and this sort of heavy run game, which, to be honest, just doesn't really work very well in the NFL anymore. It feels like a bit of a throwback. So I don't know. I might be wrong, but don't get it, I must say.
It feels like they want to do when Tony Romo had all his weapons and they had that season with DeMarco Murray. I know what you're saying, Adam. It does it, but they had a lot of success because sometimes I think there's so much high-powered offense now and scoring that people don't game manage as much. So I think they're just trying to be mindful of that. But yeah, I mean, the other argument is if it's not broke, why are they trying to fix it? They were 12-5 and in contention, so it could go the other way. But I don't think the odds are that bad considering they had 12 wins last season. I think if there's any other team who had 12 wins, might even be shorter than that.
Yeah, I just, they've got to play everybody in their division twice. I think that's the case. I think I wouldn't even write the Commanders off playing against the teams that are in their division. So I think everyone in that division has got a tough challenge ahead of them. So I do think the Eagles are still by far the better ones. Also, there's a bit of unrest at the Cowboys, isn't there? Isn't Zach Martin sitting out still? Is he still?
Yeah, I think so.
So that doesn't bode well for them. And I will briefly, as we've spoke about them too much, has anybody seen the footage of Deuce Vaughn? If you haven't, get yourself online and have a watch of Deuce Vaughn running drills. It looks like there's a child on the pitch. It's great.
A real big-bodied running back, that's going to make all the difference. He's going to get one hit and he's going to be like, crash. That's going to be, yeah.
Oh, no.
I thought someone had generally edited the footage and made him small.
Poor guy. I need to go watch this, though.
Should we move on to the over and unders then?
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles are currently, it's 11.5 on the over-under. Just with the NFC East, they do have to play the AFC East, which we've spoken about how hard that is, and the NFC West. So, again, a lot of tough matchups here. 11.5 for the Eagles, I think, is definitely doable. I think that they're more than capable of doing that. So, yeah, I'd almost be surprised if they didn't. I know it's like 4-5, 19-20. It's not amazing, but I think the over for that, I like. The Cowboys, not a massive fan, as you've probably all worked out from what I've just said. I'm taking the under.
Yeah, good
I
odds.
think they're good odds. I think they're going to struggle. 7-5. Don't get me wrong; they've got themselves probably some wins that they can get here. I mean, the Patriots, that's a nice win for them, isn't it? So that's something.
Wow.
But I don't see them getting that many. And at 7-5, I just think it's a decent price for them. And I don't want to give away the what I really think about the top two in the division, but there is one team here that I think has got a very good chance of hitting the over, and it's even money. So at 7, I think the Giants could get 8. I think the Giants could get 8 quite easily. So,
Sky, do you want to weigh in on this?
I preferred the. I know there's obviously question marks over the Commanders. I think they must both be evens. Then the Commanders 6-5 over is not bad.
So the only thing that I have against that is that you've got Sam Howell at quarterback, and you just don't really know what you're getting with him. From what I've seen of him, I think he could do really well, but you don't know what you're getting. I mean, he's basically played one game in a game that didn't mean anything, and so I think it could be difficult. But yeah,
I think I felt more reassured because of Jacoby, because they just signed him, didn't they? Jacoby Brissett.
Made
me feel, because saw what he did in Cleveland. So when I saw the 6-5 earlier, I thought if it's not working, and he was, I think most franchises would take him as one of the top end backups. So if there was an issue with Howe, I think the Commanders could still hit that. Doesn't mean I disagree, Andrew. Don't worry with the Giants getting over 7.5. I'm just still hating on you guys, not for the Super Bowls, for the money paid to Daniel Jones. I'm over the Super Bowls.
He's only the fair enough. That's fair.
He's only the 12th highest paid quarterback,
Yeah, and I'm also.
Is he really?
He's probably worth that. You got to have someone.
I didn't know he was 12, but that doesn't make me feel any better about that. Well, you do have Darren Waller now, even he's everyone's favorite player at the moment. He's not on my list, but
look at the stats that Daniel Jones had in his playoff win. He earned the money. It was good in the playoffs. There is plenty of guys out there that have never had a playoff win. Derek Carr's never had a playoff win. Daniel Jones has.
I was about to say something bad about Kirk Cousins then, but I realized that after quarterback, I'm not going to. I'm not going to mention the Vikings losing to you guys in the playoffs. We're just going to put it down to a great Giants performance.
It'd be interesting. I had this division at the Eagles 14-3, the Cowboys 10-7, the Giants 10-7, and the Commanders 4-13. So I've definitely got the Giants over 7.5. So even if they don't live up to my over probably biased decision, 9 wins is probably let's take a win off them. So yeah, I think they can make over 7.5 wins quite comfortably.
Do you two think they both could? Sorry, no, I was going to say, Adam, do you two both think they could both do that over? Because obviously the Giants were 9-7 and 1 last year, and he had the Commanders 8-8. Do you think it's possible again that they could both hit that? Or is that too
I think
optimistic again?
the Giants definitely. The Commanders. I'm interested as to why Andrew's got them 4-13. Is there a thought process here? Are we thinking
Are
that
they
maybe they
tanking?
might not be trying 100% for a certain quarterback next year? Is that what you're getting at?
I mean, yeah. Why else would you just throw another youngster in there and bring in the enemy as a coordinator rather than a head coach? And I
So
don't
that
know.
maybe the new owners after one season would
Uh,
have a new quarterback and a new head coach. Is that the angle you're going at?
I think so. You know, they let Holcomb go as well, didn't they? I think I think there might be a new direction for them, and wouldn't be silly because realistically, they're not gonna. They could
No.
play hard this year and finish with 7, 8 wins, and
Yeah.
you'd still finish bottom of that division.
Yeah.
So why not have a bust season, but play hard with your youngsters, see what you've got for next year, and Caleb Williams and Eric Bieniemy. All right.
Yeah. So now that you've announced that the Commanders are tanking this year, I was
breaking news.
I was having a look at the top 2 odds. Now, Eagles Cowboys are 2-5 favourites for this. I really like Giants Eagles at 4-1. I think that's a really good price. Obviously, the Eagles will win it, by a mile. But like of the 2 teams, I just think at 4-1, that's a really good price.
Well worth it, isn't it? Even if that doesn't come in, the odds are there to worth having quite a hefty little dabble on that, and feeling quite confident about yourself. So I really like that. Sky, are you with that one? I think that's probably the best bet of the day so far in terms of odds and actual probability. So
I like the odds.
I mean, you probably like the Giants Commanders odds, but it's not going to happen.
No, I think if I'm being not unfair on the Giants, with the moves that have been made in the off season, there is obviously a good chance that they can propel themselves up to second. I think so. So I think that 4-1. If you spoke about lumping hefty on. I mean, if you put £100 on most of these divisions that we're talking about, top 2, how many teams could you confidently say that you're going to return 500 from? I think Giants and Eagles, you probably would feel quite decent about that and would think it would have a chance throughout the season. So, yeah, I think given all the angles that we've covered and those 2 teams and how close it was last year, I think that's probably the best bet that we've seen so far.
Well, what were the odds that we were looking at for even Dolphins and Bills and Jets and Bills? Like you're saying, putting 100 on it, you could put like half the stake on, and not worry about a 4-1. So, yeah.
So we're all putting it on, apparently.
I think I'm slightly concerned that Sky is going down the route of Cowboys to win the Super Bowl and Dak Prescott at the end of the year to get.
What's the odds?
He's going to be the highest paid quarterback in NFL history after he wins it because he'll be getting a new contract next year, won't he?
I'm waiting for Tony Romo to come out of retirement and reclaim his job. Fairy tale ending.
Well, we'd all be taking him in fantasy because we all know he's a great stat machine during the regular season. Any more odds, bets, anything for you guys for either of the divisions?
No, I'm done.
So for me, I think from the most thing that we've all been positive about is the bet for the Bills to top their division and Giants Eagles top 2. I think for me they were the 2 standout ones that the 3 of us were confident on.
Well, I don't know about the Giants Eagles one. He thinks the Cowboys are going to win everything. So,
I like the return. The risk reward for that is good for the price. There would be no point, even me talking the Cowboys up. There's no point putting that 2-5 on, is there? For the Eagles Cowboys, it's just not worth the risk. So, yeah, I mean, especially with how close it was. So I like it as a bet. It doesn't. The nicest thing I could say is I'm more sold on the Giants and the Dolphins. There you go. It's my end point in terms of optimism for 2023 seasons.
Well, that's the East completed for us. We'll be back every week now till the start of the season, covering all the divisions. And just before the season starts, we'll be back with a nice betting show with all your comeback players of the year, your offensive, defensive, your rookies, all of that, which is going to be really interesting, that show. I'm really looking forward to that one because that's where the real money is in the odds, isn't it? You stabs at that. We'll leave these shorter odds to Adam to get happy about. And like I said, watch out, keep your eye out for the videos. Thanks for joining, guys. Until then, thank you and goodbye.